Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, Spring Edition 2025, May 8th. Sky is cloudy, might rain around 1. Still a beautiful day. You can hear the birds sing. Nice weather for now. All right. So I'm running a little behind today because my husband worked last night, and I got up a little bit late. Just a little. But my whole morning was flip-flop because now he's coming home versus already have left. So right now he's sleeping. The dog is in with him sleeping. So there is no star of the show today. But yet the show goes on. Why? Because she's really not the star of the show. She thinks she's the star of the show. So for right now, she's sleeping in the room with Dad. All right. Thirsty Thinking Thursday. That's what today is. Thirsty Thinking Thursday. So, March and April-ish, I took a couple of days talking about authority, about being under authority. It's like that umbrella. There's a spiritual umbrella that you are under authority. The centurion understood that very well. And Jesus said, you have great faith. He only talked about great faith with two people. Neither were Israelites. Neither were Hebrew. And so neither were Jewish. I'm like trying to figure out all the names that they were called throughout, the time. So anyways. Oh, and the sun came out, so now I got to get into the shade. So, because I'm blinded. I'm either blinded or you're blinded. So we try to compromise here. All right, so neither one of them were Jewish. And so, therefore, you kind of take note of that. It's like, oh, he called them people of great faith. And it's because he understood the hierarchy in the spiritual realm through his hierarchy of military service. Then there was the Phoenician woman who understood that even the dogs, the puppies, have a hierarchy at the table. So there still was this level of authority that was being involved. She's like, yeah, I know that I'm not under the authority of the law and the Jewish custom and all of that, and that you came for the Jews. However, even in that, there's a hierarchy that happens. So I didn't really discuss them in particular, but I talked about the authority of being under authority and how that works in the spiritual. So now we're going to move over to something that sounds like it's controversial, sounds like it's contradictory. But a lot of people that read the Word of God, they think that it contradicts itself. It's like, oh, it says this and then it says this. The Bible's so contradictory. No, it isn't. It complements itself so explicitly well. But you have to be able to understand what it's saying and in what context and what space it's at. So when you understand that, you can find that it's complementary, not contradictory. So now that I talked about being under authority and being in obedience under authority, now I'm going to talk about uniquely you. You are a unique individual that God has created. I saw that off of some guy from YouTube yesterday briefly. My husband showed me a video of some guy talking about it. And it was like, yeah. You totally need to talk to people about that, because there's definitely a problem with this conformity that takes place in the church. God didn't want us all to conform to a certain way of living. I remember back in like the 80s and 90s and maybe even beyond that, where, they said the farther south you go, the bigger the hair is, and the bigger the hair you have, the closer you are to God. Well, no. But there was this style that, you had your hair just up there, and it's like, and you wore the nice dress, and so, You were done up. You were made to look your very best. And so therefore, there was this level of religiosity that was upon you. That was like, yeah, they're close to God. They got it all together. Everything works out well for them. Because they put this facade that everything works well for them. Because if it doesn't work well for you, I must be doing something wrong in the kingdom. Wrong. You can have two reasons why things are going well, and you can have two reasons why things are not going well. And that's the way it is. So when people are trying to mold you and conform you into a way that they feel is the ideal Christian individual that you should look like, this is what your appearance should be. And I'm not talking about appearance necessarily with the big hair and the nice clothes. I'm talking about who you are. I'm talking about what you bring to the table. What are the unique gifts that God's given you? What are the things that you stand out? Oh, you can't have anybody stand out in Christianity. We should all look like Jesus. There is a truth to that, but it does not mean that we conform to what you feel Jesus looks like. And I don't mean in appearance. By the way, he doesn't look like the King James Version of Jesus. The Bible says that there was nothing extraordinary about him. I talked about that yesterday, about that wow. Oh, what do you bring? You know, and a lot of people bring their looks. Jesus didn't bring his looks. He looked like any other ordinary guy of that day, in that era, in that region. Jesus did not conform to the religious mode. He did not conform to what they felt he should be like. He kind of broke all the molds. And yet, continued in his mission and purpose and bringing the law into fulfillment. When you have leaders that are abusive, and I've talked about this before about workplace abuse. Workplace abuse, there's also church abuse. They make you feel bad when you say no. I've talked recently about saying the yes, because a lot of people don't know how to say the yes. But just as many people don't know how to say the no. And part of the reason why people don't say yes is because somebody else is doing it. And if somebody else is doing it, well, I don't have to. There's just no need. They keep saying there's a need. There's a lot of people who are doing it because they're worn out and they don't know how to say no. Time to take a break. So if you come into a church and you're not fitting into their what there might be one person in the church that has this ideal, and they're going to mold you and make you, they're going to mentor you and disciple you into being this amazing Christian. But they have in their head what that looks like. But that may not be what it looks like. You have to choose your mentors wisely. There may be a group of people in the church that are trying to mold you into what they feel a Christian should look like. I remember, it's almost like a Memory Monday, all the thoughts that are rolling in my head. I remember one time, my husband worked in the soundboard, in our church down south. And I would bring the kids to church, and he would be up at soundboard. So the people, I'd been there for 7.5 years, and there were people there that thought that I was single. People that sat around me thought that I was a single mom coming to church. They obviously never talked to me. I went to the ladies' meetings. I went to, I volunteered for a lot of things. Probably more than I should have, because I was going to college, taking care of my children, at another point taking care of my mother, while my husband had gone to Korea to spend a year, and then came back and spent like another 6 months without us in another place. And so, for that last year, yeah, it did seem kind of like I was a single mom because my husband was not there. But I should not have been volunteering as much as I was. I should have said no to many things. And so I still felt like I was fairly a young Christian. I was not a young Christian at the time, because I had accepted Jesus when I was 17 years old, right before my 18th birthday, a couple months before. So with that, I had a pretty good foundation. I understood the word, but there was a lot of things that just I knew here and not here. And I didn't know about saying no. I'd only learned that you need to step up. You need to move into what they're asking at church, because that's what you have to do. You have to say yes to anything that they ask you to do at church. No, you don't. You really don't. So during this time, the last week that I was there before I left to go to be with my husband again, there was a women's conference, and our church was putting the women's conference on. And so we had to wear red and white. I didn't have anything red and white, so I went to the store and I got something red and white to wear to greet people as they came in. So I had this red skirt, a white blouse. I think I had a red sweater. And I put makeup on, and I rarely ever wore makeup. I still rarely ever wear makeup. I'm not a makeup person. Workplace abuse. They wanted me to wear makeup and do my nails. I'm like, that is not going to help me do my job better. I work in a cubicle. Nobody's going to see me. It's not like I have to hide this mug, behind a bunch of makeup. What? No. I'm a nonconformist. So what happened is, I go there, and I greet people, and people didn't recognize me. They didn't know who I was, because I was wearing makeup, and I was in a dress, and not in a pair of sweats, or a pair of ripped blue jeans. And they're like, they came up when they realized who I was. They're like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. You look like a model. That was back in the day. We're talking years and years, decades ago. So anyways, they were talking about how beautiful I was. And they're like, oh, honey, we can get you a man in no time. What? No, I already have one. Oh, the good Christian girl is married. Married with children. They're dressed up. They look good. Jesus looks at the heart. He looks at the heart. You were made. You were formed in your mother's womb. You were made uniquely. And he wants those unique things to shine, because as they shine, he shines. So you don't have to conform. And this is where it looked a little bit, conflicting, contradictory. It's because I was telling you, you need to obey authority. But I also told you, if they're trying to serve you Kool-Aid, run. But you need to recognize the signs before that happens. So run if they're trying to serve you Kool-Aid. Most of you my age know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you might need a little history lesson. There's a plane. You don't have to be... My daughter has this phrase whenever my granddaughter won't perform, like she knows her ABCs. She just turned 2 on last Sunday. Last Sunday? Yes. Yes, last Sunday. I might have that wrong. It may have been the Sunday before. So anyways, time is flying. She knows how to say her alphabet. She knows what certain things are. She knows, what is this? What do you say for this? What's the... And she refuses to perform for her mother's camera. Oh, no. No, no, no. I am not your monkey. So that's what my daughter calls her. She goes, not my monkey. Not my monkey. In other words, she ain't going to perform. You do not have to be somebody else's monkey. You do not have to perform to be who you are. You are uniquely who you are, and you will be you when you are yourself. And so if you are not being yourself, and you are trying to be somebody else, then you are out of alignment with how God made you. So when you show up as you, and somebody else is to conform you into their little box of how Christianity should look like and what it should be. Let me tell you, there's a lot of denominations. Wow, it's getting really loud. Prop plane. But that's not what's making the noise. Something over there. So, that was a big distraction because it got really loud and I don't even have my hearing aids in. All right. Let the noise go by. There's a lot of denominations in the Christian world. There are a lot of religions in the world. And that's because people try to put people in a box. Well, this is how you ought to be. This is how you ought to be. This is how you ought to be. God has new wineskins for us. And being put in a box, sweetheart, I ain't no box wine. No, there's some good box wines out there. But I'm not your box wine. I'm vintage. I have this shirt that says vintage with my year born. So that's what you are. You're unique. You're not a box wine. So stop having people try to shove you in a box. This is what you need to look like to be a good Christian. No. Be you. Be you, but be in obedience to the Lord. Be in obedience to the Lord. Who are these people that are trying to shove you in the box? Are they authority over you? You decide who's authority over you. And if you've chosen God to be authority over you, then you look for a leader, a mentor, that is going to exemplify Him. They're not going to be perfect. Told you that yesterday. They're not going to be perfect. They're probably not going to wow you. But they're going to have what He has as the heart of it. Oh, people have good intentions for you. But if they're not in your leadership, if they're not in your scope of who you listen to, because who you listen to is very important, and if they're not speaking Christ into you, you don't have to listen to them. If they're speaking whoever they are into you and putting a pretty little cross or a fish on it to make it look like it's supposed to be Jesus, stop buying it. God's not going to condemn you for you being you. He may convict you of things that you should not be doing or convict you of things that you should be doing. But He's not going to condemn you. You shouldn't be feeling bad about yourself for being who you are. Nothing's wrong with striving to be a better person of who you are, the better version of you, not the better version of somebody else. So for today, Thirsty Thinking Thursday, I'm not throwing obedience out as a contradictory thought from the last couple of months. What I'm looking at here is being uniquely you under that umbrella of authority. And your ultimate authority is God, not man. All right. So that's where I'm leaving you with today. If you want any more on this subject, reach out. Be sure you, if you're watching YouTube, hit subscribe right there. If you're on Facebook, like, comment, share. Share it if you feel like there's people out there that you feel could really glean from this information. And I will see you tomorrow for Feisty Friday. Today wasn't even Feisty Friday, and I was feeling a little bit feisty. All right, so subscribe if you're on YouTube. Forgot to tell you that in the beginning. So do that now. If you're on Facebook, what I need for you to do is go over to YouTube to Mona E. Harrison. Mona E. Harrison. You'll see my white hair, my beautiful face, and you will hit subscribe, because I need 50 subscribers in order to move on to longer than 3 minutes. So for now, I upload these videos from Facebook up to YouTube. That'll be uploaded tonight or tomorrow. Oh, maybe not, because my uploader is working nights right now. So, and so therefore, either tonight or tomorrow, it will be uploaded, and I will have my 3-minute video condensed version of this. Bye. Have a great day, and blessings, everybody. Thank you, Dennis, for watching. Thank you, Luann, for watching, and have a blessed day.